I could like pick a girl to like take a picture with, and they like give me this card, and it's like, oh, this is your MasterCard, and I'm like, oh my god, please stop.
Hey guys, welcome back to Shitposting with the lads. It's been a week, so what have you guys been up to?
So I think we're doing one good thing, one bad thing. So we'll start with the bad thing. So coronavirus has been hitting hard for California, and that means that schools have shut down for us. And that means that, unfortunately for me, I was planning to move to an apartment near campus, and meet up with or like move in with some of my close friends. But unfortunately, no longer able to do that because of like the new information about like schools shutting down and stuff. So yeah, unlucky.
What's a good thing then?
Good thing this week. Well, there's plenty of good stuff that's happened. We'll talk about the Pokemon stuff later. So I'll say that game development has been going very smoothly. We're making a lot of good progress, and like technically there's like even like a quote unquote playable build where it kind of resembles a game already right now. And I think if we continue down the current path, I think that there will be an actual demo of the game done in probably around 2 or 3 weeks. Which is
so the closed alpha will be ready in 3 weeks, you're saying?
Yeah, basically like that
Nice.
is my estimate on how with like basically all the core mechanics of the game, but like cut down on like only a limited number of enemies, classes, like bosses, and etc. All of that stuff will be cut down, but like the core mechanics of the game should be finished within about 3 weeks, maybe even shorter. We'll see.
All right. That's cool.
So
what about you,
I guess
Skyler?
I'll go next.
Yeah.
For best thing, so I guess I need to give this some context. She's technically so I've known her longer than I've known you guys actually. So I have a pen pal in Japan, and so we originally met at this international competition. It was like 5-ish, almost 6 years ago at this point, and we got along, and we started writing to each other, and we've been keeping this up for basically ever since. And I hadn't heard from her since like May of 2019, and I just heard back from her like a week ago. So that was really uplifting because like she's just a good friend, someone I like talking to, and like I went back and reread like our whole email chains, and it's just like it's really nice because I get to see like the kind of like markers in my life, like, oh, this happened. Like I talked to her about like my college apps and like transferring away from different schools, and like the issues that bothered me, kind of thing. And we would like it was just really nice. I haven't met her since, and I guess I'll talk about this a little bit later. But I was thinking of trying to maybe study abroad in Japan, not because of her, but like if I do, it'd be nice to see her again. But she's really like conservative, almost like it's like even according so at that competition I met her, and I met one of her other friends, and her like both of them were pretty easy to talk to, but the other friend was like, yeah, she doesn't go out much, she's just like really conservative and kind of in her own head kind of thing, but she's really nice. And so it's also like her letters are also really cute. She's like super super polite, as the Japanese are in their letters, and always like very apologetic about taking so long to respond to me and everything. And it just made my week, dude. It was fucking cute. Bad thing. Bad thing. I guess I have a presentation I have to do tomorrow. I'm not super big on that. It's going to be for my boba project thing. I have to present to some sort of board type organization. They're going to judge me and tell me how bad I am or whatever.
Oh boy. All right.
Yeah, I'm not particularly looking forward to that. But it's like I don't. It's not like I super value their judgment, but it's one of those things that's necessary to keep me on track. We're designs for that is going well. Once we get back on campus, we start prototyping that, like our various designs and stuff. So, yeah, not much I can complain too much about.
I see. For myself, the best part of my week, or like the high of the week, I guess, I got a new guitar. It was actually before the last. It was like a day before our last episode, actually, but we didn't have time to talk about it last time, so I'm going to talk about it now. Yeah, so I've been looking for a new guitar, and then it took me a while to, I guess, find the right one, and then I just like bought it, and then
Nice.
restringed it, and then stuff like that. Yeah, and then I recorded it I recorded it yesterday, or not yesterday, 2 days ago now, and then yeah, it sounds nice. So
Very
that's probably
nice.
the high of the week. I think for my low of the week, it's like the same as Michael's, where it's just like it's the ongoing COVID stuff, and then I think it's pretty much confirmed that I'm doing online lessons in Singapore, mostly due to the cases around my college being pretty high, so I don't really want to go.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys know anybody who's been infected though?
My mom has a friend who was one of the first of cases in Singapore, actually. So that's kind of
Damn. I don't know anybody
Nice.
who like personally, but I know like people who know people.
yeah. Same.
Oh, okay. So I know like 3.
Personally,
Yeah. Well. Okay. One personally. One I used to know. Like I used to go to school with this person, and then one is like my TA. The TA one's kind of funny because my TA for last semester, and so out of nowhere the professor like canceled all our homeworks, and then we were all kind of like, what? And then it later came out that the TA got infected and was like totally out of commission. So like there's nobody to grade our fucking homeworks, and that's why he just canceled all of them and just gave us full credit.
Makes sense.
So happy ending for us and for him because he eventually recovered and is doing fine apparently.
That's good.
And then the other person is someone I know through my fraternity house, and he apparently got it like way before it became like a thing. I think like way back in like February, I want to say.
Oh, damn.
And then it like passed and he didn't infect anybody else. But then he like later took a test and he had like the antibodies or whatever. So he that was it. And like his symptoms lined up and everything. And we were like at the time when he had it, we were memeing that he had it, but none of us actually thought that he actually had it. But he ended up actually having it. So yeah. And then the third person was this girl I used to go to school with, and apparently she was in New York, and so apparently she got it, and is still alive to the best of my knowledge.
I see.
But
Damn,
yeah.
right.
So
damn. Have you asked them like how they like dealt with it? Like, was it bad?
I asked
for
like the one guy that I actually that I know like pretty close terms, and he was like, yeah, it wasn't like he just had a fever and was just basically felt like deathly ill for a few days. But he kind of just waited it out, and he's fine now.
I mean, outside of freak cases,
I'm curious where he got it though. I'm curious like how he got infected and why he didn't infect anyone else in the house.
I mean, they could have been infected, but just were asymptomatic.
yeah,
right.
that's possible.
I doubt it because my school offers like free testing now, and basically everybody who's there has tested for negative.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
I see. Interesting.
But yeah.
I see. Okay, awkward transition, but you guys want to talk about Bladerunner 2049, the film?
Okay.
Starring,
so I saw Blade Runner.
Recently?
Ryan Gosling. Yeah, I saw it.
Oh, okay. I see.
Like 3 nights ago.
All right.
Maybe a little bit longer.
So I watched this when this first came out, so you'll have to fill me in on some of the details.
I haven't watched it at all,
Right,
so
so-
I don't even know.
So basically, it's a futuristic society where they create artificial humans called replicants.
Yes.
And there's been like multiple generations of these, and I think the first generations, like 1 through 6, were created by this one guy, and those were the plot revolved around the first Blade Runner movie, which like came out in the 80s and had like Harrison Ford.
Yes.
The second Blade Runner I think the protagonist is a Generation 9 replicant, and his job is to hunt down the older replicant models and basically retire them, i.e. kill them. And so I guess the rest of the plot breakdown is basically that so replicants cannot have children, and even though for all intents and purposes they basically look human, like, and then also like they bleed blood and they eat food and everything, so they're not like robotic per se.
Right.
They are stronger than humans though. Like there's this one scene where the protagonist just like literally just lifts this guy up and breaks him over his knees. Fucking awesome. But it's like, holy shit, like he's way stronger. Like punching people through walls. And it's not actually. I don't want to give the wrong idea. It's not much of an action movie, but what action scenes there were like hit pretty hard in my opinion. And so on one of his cases, he finds out that one of the replicants has given birth, and then basically it's like a kind of they're trying to find the child because so they have the remains of the mother, and they're trying to find the child. And they track down the father, who is Harrison Ford, who's the protagonist of the last movie.
Yep.
And all the clues are sort of pointing to our main character being the child. But excuse me. But it turns out it's not him.
Spoiler.
It's like this other girl.
Spoilers. This is the very end of the film.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw it coming because it's like it was too obvious. You know what I mean? It was like a movie like this. I thought it'd be way too obvious that they actually made the main character Kay the child. And like what I really liked about this movie was the cinematography. Like the camera does these like really long like panning shots and like like zoom out and show a lot of the landscape, and a lot of the stuff in the movie is not explicitly explained to you. They'll just like show you certain things, and you can kind of infer how things work. Like they'll walk, like, like the main character will walk down a street, and then you'll see like a glass thing, and there's like it's kind of steamy, and people are like moaning, and you can understand like vaguely what's happening there. He also has like an AI girlfriend, which I kind of I want to segue into talking about, but like just a lot of the imagery and like subtle scenes, I was like, oh, okay, that really made me think about like kind of transhumanism and like technology catching up to humanity and like basically the next big thing, right? So and then like the main villain has this like god complex, right? Because like which makes sense, because if you imagine like you could create humans basically, like
Wait, who was the
how would
main
you like
villain? Was it the
Wallace?
Was that the Jared Leto character?
Yeah, the Jared Leto
Okay, I
character.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so he's like fucking, and he's like really uncomfortable
Yeah,
too, right? Like
it was really weird in that film.
Like, yeah, and he'll like, oh my, I remember this one scene, like there's this, so he creates this female model android, and he's like trying to investigate if she's able to get pregnant, and he just like gets all up in her personal space, and it must have been so uncomfortable for everyone involved to film it, because she's like butt naked, and he's like rubbing her stomach and like yes kind of thing, and I'm like, oh my god, what the hell.
Okay.
But so I guess, okay, so the more specific things I want to talk about though was like basically, I'll kind of pose this question to you guys. Do you think that if we were able to achieve that level of technological progress, we were able to like basically create other intelligent creatures, that we've kind of scratched the realm of gods, and what would that mean to you guys, and how would you take that?
I think if we ever get there, it will definitely happen. I don't think people wouldn't be like, all right, we can create other creatures, but we won't.
Well, I would say it's
Do you
more
know what I'm
like,
saying? So I
like
think people would,
maybe some people would be like that, but they're not everyone is like that, right? So like if the technology ever happens to get to that level, which it probably will at some point in the future, like it most likely will happen, because like there won't, it's not like there will be some scientist who is curious enough, and
yeah, exactly.
it only takes one, basically.
Yeah, somebody's gonna do it if we ever get to that point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not asking like, do you think it'll happen? Because I think it will. I just think like, what would your reaction to that be? Like, would you want to stop it? Would you be like, like, I think the classic debate is like, are they human? Do they get rights? Blah, 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 right? Like, what are the ethics of that, and how do you think that would change our
I
society?
think it would really just. I would have to like wait and see like what exactly happens. Right.
Yeah, it's hard to say, right? Like,
What's your instinctual reaction?
Nothing, right? It's just like
I don't. I could see it both
I don't know.
ways.
Okay, so
I'm neutral.
this is equivalent to like another iPhone coming out.
No, it's more like I don't really know how to see it, right? Like, my opinion would probably like, it's hard for me to imagine what it would be like, is how I would put it. Like, I can see it in movies and I could think about it, but like, I always feel like if I interacted with like something like this, it could change my opinion like drastically, right? So I guess my
Do you think it would freak you out if you like could talk to something that was man-made but and be artificial, but
if it seemed like, really human-like, like it would probably be like for me, it would probably be hard for me to see it as anything but human. So like right now, I would say that if it looked.
So would you extend the definition of human to encompass
so
that?
Like if it looked like an AI, and if it seems like an AI, like we have it right now, like, you know, if it's like Siri or whatever, like, yeah, then I would probably just say it's like not human, because it just seems so like not human, even if it like looked like an android and looked like a human or whatever. But like,
so it needs to have a body to be human.
I'm saying even if it was like an android and like it looked like a human being, but it like basically behaves like Siri, where it's like not really responsive. It's like, you know, like that kind of idea. Then I probably wouldn't like think much of it. But like if it was like I was talking to another human being and like I couldn't really tell the difference, then it would probably be a lot harder for me to like think about it as. So like if it was actually like an intelligent life form, I feel like it would probably be hard for me to say that it's like not a human being, or like basically not like a living thing.
So like a lot of the replicants express emotion in the movie, and like they're functionally like hard to distinguish from humans. Like they have emotions, they have outbursts, you know, they feel conflicted, they eat food. It was just kind of uncanny to me, and I thought that, like, I guess my first question was, why would they be designed like that, right? Like, why wouldn't they just have batteries that could be recharged or whatever? But then my second thought was like, do we extend kind of the definition of human to them, and like would they count as like the next step of evolution, right? Because I think a lot of people, they think of evolution that is something that happens outside of them, but then like it's kind of stupid to assume that evolution would just simply end with the human race, right? Like, oh, we're the final life form, right? Like you know, 100, 500, 1,000 generations of your descendants later, like would they even be recognizable as quote unquote human?
1,000 generations.
Or like would it, and that would be through that would be like through natural biological processes, right? But like with this kind of crazy technology, and you have like gene editing stuff and being able to just artificial everything and bionic everything and cyborg everything, like would that come faster? And what would your kind of opinions on that be? Like, do you think we should stop it? Do you think it should just be like we just full speed ahead and just kind of run into it and like, you know, embrace the future kind of thing? Would you feel supplanted? Would you like, and like the other question I had was like, you know, if we created these replicants and at some point they began to like outnumber us, like would we be considered a part of their species and not the other way around?
Questions are all over the fucking place, but
would you even?
I don't know.
Would you even give them?
Like, look at the.
Would you give them the label of their own species? I don't know. I just think these questions are really interesting.
So I'll just answer the last one.
Before we get there, it's like very okay. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, sure. I'll answer the last one just because I don't remember everything you asked. You just kept going, but like basically, I would say that like the thing that's like scariest, I would say, about like creating intelligent life and that kind of stuff is like once they like kind of recognize like that they're better than us, if it ever gets to that point, then like what's stopping them? Like why? Like what's stopping them from just like, you know, basically training us and like making us like the domestic animals or whatever, right? Like it same way that humans like became better than other animals, like if there's another intelligent life form out there that like is just better than us, then what's stopping them from just like making us like, you know, basically they're animals, right? So like that would be the thing that would be the scariest to me. I I don't really know exactly all the specifics of like technology, etc. But I would say that like a lot of these things, there's like kind of a fine line, and I don't really know a lot of the answers to it.
Well, yeah, I'm not expecting you to like know the answers, but I like want to get your 2 cents on it. In regards to like if they became better than us, I'm not necessarily sure they would like wipe us out because I feel like there'd be no reason for them to. I think we might become like domesticated in the same way that like they treat
well, no,
cats and dogs,
depends,
kind of
right?
thing.
Like
I think like
it's more like I would say it's more close, or it's closer to like say like the Europeans invading like the Native Americans or whatever, and like basically they don't see a use for them, right? Like their use was like, okay, they'll teach us about the food, and then once we're done with them, they're like useless, right? And then we'll just wipe them out. Like I would say it's closer to that because like what humans don't intrinsically bring like that much value. Like we could say like, oh, they could keep us as pets, but like more likely because humans are like so much more intelligent. It's like instead of keeping us as pets, it's like closer to like it would be like if your dog just could have the opportunity to like rebel against you and then like kill you in your sleep or something, right? It's like I don't know. I feel like it wouldn't be beneficial for them to just keep us around, but maybe that's not true.
I have
think,
absolutely
Tiger?
no idea. That's my like I it's hard for me to say. I can talk about like the Runner film because it's like it's laid out, but like when it comes to like for our own world, like I have no idea until we get there. But to answer your question about the Blade Runner world, I would say the replicants are close enough to humans for them to also have rights and stuff like that. In the film, so that's what I would say on that. Yeah.
all right, so I guess we're pro
We're
Android replicant rights. But actually, the last thing I want to talk about in regards to Blade Runner was the main character has like this.
by the
AI
way, played
girlfriend.
by the great
And then
Ana de Armas. So
I didn't know who
okay.
that was, but yeah. And it's really fucking odd because she's manufactured by the same company that manufactured him, right? The Wallace Corporation makes the replicants, and she's like an AI from the Wallace Corporation.
Right, like she's not even a
Corporation.
replicant. She's like Siri, almost. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like really, like
She's
really
basically
high-level
like
Siri,
a software
right?
program.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and then there's this one scene where she hires a hooker, and then she projects her hologram over the hooker, and then they have sex. And I just thought like that's gonna be a thing. Like that's definitely gonna be a thing in like
I mean,
20 years. Like
But you don't
I
need.
bet.
But I feel
that it's
like
definitely gonna be a thing.
if we're at a point that we have replicants, we don't need to project. We're just gonna have like
you could just
like
have,
girlfriend
yeah,
robots. You
yeah,
know
but
what
like
I'm saying?
we're already basically at
No, I disagree because I think like you guys know what Project
No.
Melody is. So basically, it's like, do you know what VTubers
Yeah, I
are?
know.
Mike
I actually don't
must
have no
know.
idea what
virtual
VTubers are.
YouTubers.
Yeah, so like,
Oh, okay. No, I do know.
VTubers, you know, like he's not
Okay.
Kaguya
Uh-huh.
Luna. So Project Melody is basically a VTuber on ChatterBait, and like
What the fuck is Chatterbait?
people are like, ChatterBait is like, I actually don't use ChatterBait. So
Is it,
I don't know, but it's like from what my understanding,
Okay,
it's
I
basically like a porn site.
Okay.
So it's not Pornhub Live.
And
Okay.
no, actually, I don't know. I don't use Pornhub Love either, so I really can't say. But basically, it met like remember like the old Omegle days, where it's like you just
No.
video
Yeah.
chat people randomly.
But go on.
Omega, yeah.
It's kind of like that, but like sex oriented. So you're like
Okay, I
you're
see.
watching just this cam girl and stuff. And people get like really attached to this Project Melody, and she made headlines a while back because she actually became like the top rated chatterbait, or I guess I don't know, is that what they're called? on the site, basically outperforming her quote unquote human counterparts. And the Chatterbait girls are really mad about it, right? Because it's like, but I could totally see this becoming like a thing where, you know, like your AI, you hire like it's just some random chick or like robot chick, and then you have your AI girlfriend download into her or like project over her, and then you know you do your stuff. But like I totally see this. Dude.
It feels
and like okay, in Blade Runner, they have like a lot of Japanese and like Korean iconography and stuff. Like they'll have like signs in Japanese and stuff in the background, and I started chuckling to myself because I thought like, yeah, the Japanese, like the Asians are definitely going to be at the forefront of this technology.
It feels a market demand, right? So it makes sense that it will be successful.
There was already like in headlines like a couple of years back for like basically like AI girlfriends in like Japan. Like obviously it wouldn't be to this level of technology, and like there's apps, I've seen some apps about it and stuff, but like I mean I wouldn't say that it's like I would say it's like already basically like exists, and it's not as advanced as like the one you're describing from the movie, but like it's only going to be a couple of years until that actually happens. I don't like that. That's going to be like within the next 10 years probably.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So all that's the groundwork, right? So so my question to you is like thoughts and reactions to that.
Not surprised. I mean, it's kind of like dating sims if the computer had an AI, right? Like a actually sophisticated.
Yeah, basically.
AI. So it's just like.
Do you think it'd be bad for people?
No, I generally not. I'm generally against the notion that like new change or like change is bad. Like it could be bad for some people, but in the long run, it's good. So.
And.
Yeah.
You think? I think it'll like replace.
No.
But like, okay, but
like
why is that
women.
necessarily a bad thing for some people, right?
I mean, it could replace real women for like some people, but for the vast majority of people, I think like that's not going to be an issue. And also, I would say that like.
Okay. I definitely think it's
I would also say that like if it ever so like right now the amount of people who are like single or whatever like not every or a lot of the people who are currently single may like go towards that life, but like I wouldn't say that it would take away from like a large portion of people. Like maybe there's like a small percentage, but like the majority of people who would have gone into a marriage before probably would still go into a marriage is how I would put it.
Okay, I definitely disagree because I like relationships are on a downward trend. People are becoming more isolated.
Like,
why is that necessarily a bad thing? It's just yeah, I get it's not the same as we have now, but like it's not necessarily a bad thing on the macro like scale.
Well, it depends on the values that you have in mind when you're saying like, is it good or bad, right? Because at that point you're making a value judgment on it. Is it good or bad? My instinct is to say it's bad, just because it's like.
I think sorry.
You're substituting the real,
right, but you don't have
artificial.
To do it, right? So
and that just strikes me as
you don't have to do it,
somehow.
Right?
Yeah, but the incentives will be lined up in a way where
but like what's wrong with other people doing what they want?
Yeah, I don't see it. Well, I understand what you're saying, Skyler, but like,
right.
I also think like if you think about it a little harder, then like perhaps it's not actually like that big of a deal because like okay, so what? Like,
do you think it'll just become like another hobby for people?
It doesn't matter. Like, I don't care if people are like. Well, I mean, as long as it's not illegal, right? But, like, I don't care if your hobby is, you know, going to, I don't know, smoke weed or whatever. Like, it's not illegal, right? So, or like in California, it's not illegal. But like, I would never do it, maybe. But like, sure, if other people want to do it, then like, it's their hobby, right?
Yeah. That's what I would say.
No, I mean, I don't think. Well, first of all, I don't think
you
could stop it, right? Like, I don't think it's. Like Japan's probably doing its best, but I don't want to say they're doomed. But
I mean, like,
I think the only
great, right.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would say it's like more of an issue for maybe like Japan and like Korea and like the countries that have like really really low birth rates and they're already like below replacement. Then it could be like more of an issue. But like, you know, in the States, it's like that's not an issue, so like it doesn't matter. Also, when
You don't think so? I feel like we're trending.
No, but like
I feel like we're trending
think
towards that.
there's math for like
that-
basically
that,
below replacement for the
that
US, and we're like
outcome.
pretty far above it. Yeah, but
Yeah, it's-
it
America
also-
is only above it because of immigration, though, and then Japan is suffering because Japan has harsh.
yeah, they have
immigration laws.
I mean, it's likely that the Japan immigration laws are going to start to loosen up in the future because, like, I've heard
They should.
I've heard
mean,
rumors
it's kinda,
about it happening, like starting, like the groundwork basically is being built for that, like right now.
Yeah, because they're kind of fucking themselves.
I did see a meme where it was like Japan's making breeding visas, and like, you know, sign me up. But so actually, the U.S. has 1.77 births per woman.
Right,
that was
but
in
because of
2017.
immigration, it's actually
Yeah, but
no,
that's-
but because
below
of
replacement.
immigration, it's kept above.
And also, it's not
replacement.
only immigration, but like because the U.S. has such a huge population, it's like, well, okay, I say below replacement, but there's like another term for it. I don't remember what the term is, but it's basically like beyond like saving. Like, so I think the closest country I think is Korea. Yeah, so Korea is
Terminal.
like basically they're going to get to a point where it's like impossible for them to replace solely without immigration. Like,
No, a lot of countries are already there, though, right?
no, but like within like the next
like-
50, I don't remember exactly what the statistic was, but like they were talking about it in like some Kent, you know,
I
talk.
think Japan is already there. 'Cause I'm pretty sure Japan population growth is already
Yeah, I don't remember.
Wouldn't be
exactly.
surprised.
it's already negative. Yeah, so Japan's annual population growth is already in negative percentage. Like last year in 2018 it was 0.2%. Sorry, negative 0.2%
What about Korea?
growth. And then it hasn't been above 0% since 2008 for Japan.
Oh, okay.
Korea, I know it's just
Yo,
like they're kind
the
of screwing
fuck?
themselves because they don't want foreigners in the
2008?
country. I think
Oh
that's
my
kind
God.
of,
Well, I've heard
kinda
that.
stupid,
like, I've
but
heard from some
I guess
people.
it's their
like,
country.
I've heard
Yeah,
from some people.
Korea still hasn't dipped below 0 yet. It's 0.3 in 2018,
Okay.
but it's trending that way for sure.
Yeah, but I've heard from people like around Japan that like they're going to start setting the groundwork to start loosening up for
Hopefully,
immigration laws. Like, I think that within like the next like 2 to 5 years or something, there's going to be some stuff passed around it. But I think like that doesn't like change. Like, I've heard that the culture about like foreigners in Japan is also like part of the reason why it's hard to move there. So
yeah, true.
because I mean I don't know about
And then in a way, I feel like unless you really, really love
And then this could be
Japan, you wouldn't want to move there because like the working conditions are kind of bad.
Like I don't know about Skyler, but
yeah, like that's what I've heard. They have like it's the culture there is
Right.
very work oriented, not so much family oriented, and that makes it difficult to start a family. They're also not as progressive when it comes to like women and stuff as like the Western nations, and so like people aren't as incentivized to move there, and they're also not very welcoming for people who want to move there. Like, you know, tourism is one thing, but like actually becoming a part of their society.
I mean,
is,
I don't know
So
about-
like unless you're a
matter.
weeb, I don't know why you would go.
well, even then, like I don't know about
Those
Skyler,
things.
but like personally, I would never like I wouldn't say never, but like I would say that unless a really, really, really good opportunity arises, I wouldn't even move to Japan, right? Like, and I'm like one of the biggest weebs, right? Like,
Yeah, you're probably the second, or maybe third, or maybe you're probably
For
the
Tiger,
third biggest.
not me,
weeb
dude.
After a personal friend and then Skyler, right?
I think me and Skyler are like around the same. We're like around
Yeah.
the same, I would
Oh,
say.
I'm number
Skyler
two?
would be two. I feel like Skyler, like I feel like maybe
feel like-
you guys
well,
like
actually-
Japanese like anime just as much, but I feel like Skyler likes more like other Japanese stuff. Like he plays Kendo. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
that
literally
true?
learned
But then
Oh,
again,
that's
Michael
true.
learns
That's
learns
true.
Japanese.
And I
This is like
translate
a
it.
recent development.
So-
but this is a recent development, right? So this is a.
I mean, I started when
So I guess,
like, already at the end of Kent, but yeah.
But
Oh really? Okay, I didn't. Okay. Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember now. Yes.
But
Yes, you were.
I mean, we're about the same. I would say. Like, I would say like
Okay.
I might be a little bit more of a weeb, but like it's close. Like,
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
He's 2 levels
I
above.
still haven't crossed the barrier of buying anime merch yet.
That's not like
Okay,
that
actually,
large
yeah.
of a...
Well, actually, that could
Although
be another
I
topic.
have wished to, but like I don't know. When I went to San Francisco and I looked in an anime store, there was just not anything appealing. It was too expensive.
That's true. I don't really tend to like want figures either. Like the only figures I get are like Gundam models, and I don't
I was
really
like pretty
categorize
close
those
to
as,
buying like a light
figures.
novel, but
You know what I
it ended up being like too expensive for me. I was just like, whatever. It's
Wait.
too much.
Wait, I've bought like mangas in Japanese.
Yeah, no, but it was like the like.
Truth comes out. Tiger was the biggest.
No,
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 because I went to Japan once, right?
Yeah.
And then I was just like in one of the I'm not sure what the marts were called, but one of those those like marts,
Yeah,
right?
convenience store, right?
You're right, yeah. And then there was just like a jump. Yeah,
Probably
but I don't
Family
remember
Mart?
the specific like company
Okay,
that
yeah,
ran
I mean-
that one, so I don't want to name it. And then they were selling the Jump issue of that week in Japanese, so I was like, okay, I'll buy it.
No,
It's just like,
okay,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
cool thing.
Well, I went to like a specific place in San Francisco. Okay, so I was like in San Francisco last year, like last summer for the internship. So like I went out to like see that like basically there's a Japanese anime store, or like I would say just an anime store in San Francisco. So I went to go see it like on one of my days off, and I just looked around. Everything was like, I mean, I expect that it was probably expensive because like US stuff and whatever, but like one light like I was looking through the light novels, is like one volume was like $10 or whatever. I was like, I didn't really want to buy it. It was like too expensive.
Damn. Okay.
Because like,
Do you think that's because like a lot of the stuff is available free online? Like you can read manga free online, you can watch anime free online. There's not really
You're not
need
supporting the
to-
creators, though.
no, I mean, I would definitely
get extra stuff.
like
I mean,
if
I
I
guess,
saw
yeah,
something.
that's
okay, so
true.
I was actually looking for some specific stuff, but like if I saw like something from like a series that I actually really liked and within like a reasonable price range, then I would have bought it. But like I'm also like pretty stingy with my money in general, so like. I mean, I'm sure Tiger probably knows, but like I generally just don't spend money if I.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's fair, but yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, just a thing. You guys know the swimming
Okay.
anime called Free or something?
Free. Uh-huh.
Okay. So the Jump
Free.
issue that I bought
Yeah.
had the first. You know how like before manga starts, like the weekly thing.
Yeah.
They kind of have the debut, right?
Yeah.
And then if they do well in the debut, they get picked
Yeah.
to be a weekly thing.
Yeah.
So that issue had the debut of the free one.
Oh,
it was
damn.
like the first. It was like the demo one.
Wow.
Yeah. It was kind
That must be like
Legendary-
long time
legendary
ago
issue.
then, right? Like,
yeah.
Legendary
I mean,
collection.
it was back when I
Dude,
was
I feel
still
like-
reading
I feel like that's probably worth money, dude.
Okay.
Anime and stuff.
I think it was probably like
So
2010 or
is
something.
long
maybe.
before. I don't
what
remember.
if
But
you-
this is a while back.
You could probably get some
That's
decent
gonna
money for
go
that on
back. I
eBay.
don't
or
know.
something.
I mean, you can
I
figure it
think
out.
I still have the voting thing as well because I wanted to vote, but then it required me to like use the mail or something. I was like, fuck that. So I think I still have the voting card inside.
Interesting.
That's kind of cool too.
I mean, you might be able to sell it for a decent amount if it's still in good condition.
Maybe. Yeah, I haven't read it, so it's just like sitting
Oh.
there. I just like flip through it.
Interesting.
The thing I noticed that I wouldn't think it would be there is that there were a lot of like colored pages of just like pictures of idols, and they must have been like 18 max, like the people.
Like
So it was,
actual
like, kinda
idols,
weird.
like not like anime
Yeah,
characters.
yeah, like real people.
So, like,
Not like
Underage
I think
idols?
idols are
Zero.
like around that age in general.
I don't know what their age is, but I mean, I assume they would be.
Didn't Tiger just say they were
I
at
mean,
most 18?
no, what I'm saying is
But then
that
again, they are
they're like
Asian
very
women, so
young.
you-
Well, I mean,
Like,
idols in general
like-
are generally like I think the age range is like around like 16 to like 25 maybe. Like I think that's like
Okay.
normal.
Yeah. There were, a lot of pictures of idols inside that issue for some reason.
I also think like
Yeah.
Oh, actually. Oh, actually, I was going to talk about the one time I went to a Maid
do
cafe.
tell.
Fucking
tell.
degenerate.
But okay, so it was how many years ago? I was doing an internship in Japan, and my host was like, "Oh, do you want to go?" And I was kind of like, "No," but then he was like, "Oh, you're here, might as well kind of go." I think he liked watching me squirm, and so he took me to one, and it was the most uncomfortable thing. Oh my god! Actually, my head hurts like remembering it, dude. Oh my god! And then like, first of all, everything was really fucking expensive. Right?
Wait,
like
why?
the drinks and the food.
Why
it was just like
it's
probably like
uncomfortable?
30-40%. So it's just okay. Well, let me explain. So first of all, I had to wait in line.
That
right?
is very.
I did not enjoy. So first of all, like I'm an impatient person. I don't like waiting in line. But I had to wait in line, and I was there, and I was talking to my host, and I can't remember exactly what we talked about. But finally, it was our turn. She sat down, and like I looked at the menu. I was like, everything was super fucking expensive. And then there was like I could play games with a girl. I think like as part of the visit, like give me this card, and it's like, oh, this is your MasterCard, and I was like, oh my god, please stop. And they did like the whole the moi moi kyun thing on like my food, and I was like, oh my god, this like hurts, and I'm like, I don't know how people can enjoy this, and like I don't know, maybe I was in the wrong headspace, maybe I wasn't like memeing it up or whatever, but I just remember being so goddamn uncomfortable, and oh my god, it was hard. It was really hard actually.
I know, I totally agree.
I had to play like this like hammer game or something, and like oh my god, I felt so self-conscious because I was wearing like this sort of nerdy t-shirt. I was something like F equals MA or whatever. And I'm like, oh my god, like
oh my god.
Dude, actually, do you guys know this? I'm pretty sure I wore that t-shirt at camp before too. Like you guys probably know it. It was like a gray shirt and it had like a.
I don't remember.
Well, anyway, it was like a gray shirt. It had like a science formula on it. And oh my god, it was so uncomfortable, dude. And I could just feel myself like sweating and be like, this is horrible. Like, please get me out of here.
I feel like just the waiting in line part to get into a Maid cafe has to be like so self-hating.
Yeah.
Almost.
No,
you know
this
what I
reminds
mean?
me of
Like you have to be like.
Do you guys know like that Louis C.K. Clip where he talks about like?
Dude, he's canceled. Don't talk about him. No, just kidding.
Like the Cinnabon.
I'm kidding. Oh yeah.
This is
yes, exactly.
what
It's like that.
It reminds me of.
Yes.
What's
yes.
the
It's
clip?
like you stand in line for the Cinnabon.
The cinnamon bun. Yeah,
Louis C.K.
I saw like that,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, it was worse though, because at least he got a fucking Cinnabon.
Yeah,
out
I feel
of
like it's worse than that.
I just got humiliated, and I'm pretty sure the host family guy was just like loved just watching me squirm, like you fucking weebs, this is what you get. And no, he was nice. I don't want to speak bad about him. He was also like one of my bosses at the place I was interning at, so it was nice. But he also took me to a cat cafe, and that was nice. I liked that.
Oh, that sounds
way
fun.
more. That one was way more fun.
I definitely would go to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Have you guys been inside of Hooters? Because I feel like Hooters is like the opposite spectrum of Maid cafe.
I've only heard that Hooters is terrible and like their food is awful.
I've been inside, but I wasn't there to like have food or anything. So I went in briefly to get something, then left.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like it's like the opposite spectrum of like the Maid cafe.
I would never go to either side. Like, I don't know, like.
Yeah,
Dude,
I wouldn't either.
Okay, like I already hate like. I don't know. It's weird because I'm like really open about the fact that like I love anime and stuff, but like maybe this is like something to do with like how people perceive like weebs or whatever. But like I really hate like feel really self-conscious about myself whenever like it becomes like one of those like stereotypically degenerate like weeb kind of things where you like you know okay, so like one of the things is like when people like just say Japanese out of context. Yeah. So I hate like I get super.
Wait, but I do that. Never mind. Fuck you.
No. But like I just mean like I get like really embarrassed. Like I never say that. Like okay, I should say like I don't say it like unironically. Like I know a lot of people who like unironically say that, including Kevin, by the way, because I'm gonna call him out right here. Like where he like
future guest Kevin
exposed.
Yeah, like he just unironically says like random Japanese words, and like completely out of context. A lot of times, or some of the time, it doesn't even make sense. But like, yeah, basically, like that's like a stereotypical weeb thing. Like the other one is like the Maid Cafe, right? Like you go to the Maid Cafe because you're a fucking weeb, right? And like that kind of stuff, I don't know, it just really gets me. Like I could never do that.
Yeah, that's
I get what he means though. It's like the image of like those really hardcore anime fans is really really uncomfortable, right? Because you can kind of like, it's almost like, damn, I feel like if I took a few wrong turns and made a few bad decisions, I would end up like that, and I would hate to end up like that, kind of.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also like I just want to, because I'm an anime fan and whatever. Like, I don't want to like. I think like those types of people, it's only a very small portion of like the anime community, but like, you know, the internet views anybody who likes, like the outside people who like don't watch anime. You know, like a lot of my friends on the internet, like they view people who like anime just all as that kind of person. So like I don't want to be associated with them, even though I am like probably have watched way more anime than like most of those people. But like, you know, I want to be a self-respecting.
Yeah, I get what you
being,
mean.
You know,
wait,
like
have you been have you been to the anime club at your university though?
No, I have not.
Okay, so I have, and like some of them is just that's too much, dude. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean that's what I would imagine.
It's simply too much.
Dude, I can imagine it being way worse at Michael's school though, considering the location and type of school. Yeah.
But to be fair, like every other person that you like talk to and so in UCSD probably just like watches anime, right? So it's like,
really, every other person? That's insane, actually.
Okay. Maybe like every other guy that you talk to, maybe, but like
every other guy.
That's still like 25% of the school. That's kind of high.
I don't know. I mean, I would say anime is like getting really big. Like, okay, so amongst the people that I know, like, you know, my closer friends in CS and stuff, like 80+% of them watch anime. So, but like that's obviously a little bit.
It's definitely more prevalent in the engineering disciplines. Yeah.
If you talk to like CS majors, then yeah, it's like basically.
Oh my god, dude! CS majors.
Damn, I feel like in high school, not a lot of people watched. I feel like it was like you, and then there were like some of our friends.
No, even like
watch, and then
towards the end, because like this was like right when anime was kind of like catching a lot of steam. So like, you know, like Trey, Zach, those types of people, like you wouldn't like think of them as like, you know, weebs or whatever, but like they watch a lot of anime.
But that I know, but like I feel like that's just because they're also into like like gaming culture and stuff.
I mean, that's fair.
So it kind of comes hand in hand, right? So.
But I mean, like a lot of people I can't, like a lot of people we knew did watch anime.
Yeah.
So I would say like by the end, like maybe around like 25% of our grade, maybe a little bit less than 25%.
Really? 25%?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Of our grade probably watch anime. I wouldn't be surprised.
I would be. But okay.
I didn't know enough people.
I feel like generally it was people in our friend group, but like that's not 25% of people, you know?
Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. But
of our grade.
I think 25%
that's
might be
half the boys.
Estimate.
Okay.
No, but like there are girls who watch anime too, right? Like, I mean, like Wendy at least.
Yeah,
and
I guess.
some of Wendy's friends as well.
That's one.
Yes.
You're exposing more people, Michael, by name.
Well, it's not like people. It's not like Wendy hides that she watches
secretly
anime.
Weebs. Oh, maybe she does now. I don't know.
But
man.
did she consent to be on our podcast?
I have no idea. Yeah, she has.
Okay. Cancelled.
Michael going in without consent. Cancel him.
Canceled.
All nine of our subscribers. Cancel him. Insult him in his DMs.
Okay.
Flame his Twitter page.
I don't have Twitter, but okay.
Make a Twitter for him and then flame him. Make him a subreddit dedicated to flaming him.
No, I think Skyler brought up something earlier, but I can't remember now.
Okay.
Damn.
I say a lot of things.
I can't remember. Do you want to move on to Kendo, another Japanese related activity?
So I guess we could talk about like broader tournament stuff first, right? Like, so do you guys have experience with tournaments and like if I say tournaments, what is your kind of immediate reaction to that?
I don't have personal experience. Like tournaments, if you say tournaments, my first is like, like World Cup or something, or like the Olympics or
But
something.
you've never participated.
You know what I'm saying?
You've never participated in any type of tournament.
Nothing serious. So like, yeah, like, okay. Actually, yeah, like, no. Actually, just no. I haven't participated in a tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I think like I've done a lot of different competitive stuff, but like almost all of it boils down to Pokemon. There's like a few other things, like I did a few basketball tournaments like in middle school and stuff, but like realistically, like most of my experience comes from Pokemon, and I've been playing a lot of Pokemon. So basically since I was at Kent, I've been playing competitive Pokemon, but more recently, like since I started college, I actually got into VGC. And if you don't know what VGC is, it stands for Video Game Championship, but it's basically the Nintendo sanctioned format for Pokemon, so competitive Pokemon. And that's like, not really necessarily a good or bad thing. Like it means that there's more money involved. So I played at tournaments for money, but I haven't won any money. And I've done like decently well at a number of tournaments. Actually, earlier this year, I was like power ranked. I think like third or fourth or I think fourth in SoCal or something like that. And for VGC, and then right now, like at the end of last episode, we talked about basically like my tournament experience for this like last weekend. And it was like a double limb bracket where last weekend it would go from top 256 to top 64. So I'm currently on top 64 winners side, meaning basically top guaranteed top 49th. But yeah, like I went 3-0 last weekend, and like it was a good experience for me. So if I can continue the success, I could potentially make it to Worlds this year, which would be.
What's your when's your next game?
Yeah, so it's like this weekend will be top 64 to top 16. So it's tomorrow actually, and if I do well.
So if you. Mm-hmm,
yeah. So then after that, after I reach top 16, then top 16 to top 4 will be the next weekend. And then if I do make it into that top 4, then that means that I'll qualify for Players Cup, which is essentially the online Worlds for this year. And okay, if I do make it that far, it'll be huge visibility because like it's like one of the like I don't know. I think like people. It reaches around like 200K viewers on YouTube, and that's like not including other platforms when it does happen. So
that's cool.
I think like if I do make it there and I make it to like the top 16, then it'll probably be like a really, really big thing. And
200K is only the English broadcast, right? So there's still Japanese broadcast, Spanish broadcast, and then so that's pretty cool.
I think like if I do end up making it, it'll be like really massive. Also, like there's like a good amount of money involved. So if I do make it there, like I could get like a pretty big paycheck. But that would be like it would require me technically to outperform basically my quote unquote rank. I believe I'm better than my rank because I've played competitive Pokemon outside of VGC for a while, but it would require me to like basically put on a pretty big performance. But I think I could do it.
These are all single events, right?
What do you mean?
Like it's just you? Like you don't compete with a team or anything?
Oh, so this is like I'm talking mostly about VGC because VGC is like kind of a more visible platform, but the other platform that I compete on is Smogon. Smogon is basically like the online community for Pokemon. It's much bigger in terms of like the number of people who compete in it, but it also doesn't have like the same number of it doesn't have a backing basically, so you don't get like money into the system, but like more people and like generally the players that compete there are like generally better because it's like easier to access, etc. And that's like basically the online forums, and I've competed on there, and like I've had good individual placings, I've had good team placings, like I've won like big team events, I've gotten second in like a number of big tournaments, and like
Wait, is your team like your friends and stuff?
sometimes yes, sometimes no. Like sometimes it's mostly like depending on like the tournaments. Like so, most of the time it's like how they do it is you basically sign up for a tournament and they vary in like size and stuff. But like I'm not currently in a position where I can be drafted for the biggest tournament, which is SPL, which stands for Smoke on Premier League. But like some of the smaller tournaments that I participated in it's like basically you sign up for it and then like there's an auction that like 8 teams or whatever, like there's managers and then the teams will draft those players and then you basically play with your players like lineups. So it's generally like 8 different.
So
players
those
play
teams are
against each other.
auto-generated by like the people. Like you don't pick your teams then.
Yeah, well,
No, the
the
manager
manager does.
Oh, the
basically.
manager does.
So the manager would draft the team
Okay.
based on like there's a pre-allocated budget, and then you like you play or whatever.
Dude, it sounds like whoever came up with this watched football or like soccer.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
this
watch
is like,
either of those things, so I wouldn't know.
there's like this is like I don't know. I feel like this is just like a pretty good format for everything, but
Yeah, I
This
mean,
is
it's
just
also
like-
called the Premier League.
yeah. So probably inspired by
And
soccer,
then it's
but-
called a manager instead of like a head coach, because head coach is like the Americanized, and then manager is kind of the anglicized one.
Okay. So
thing
yeah, I mean,
for that
I didn't
position.
really think too hard about it, but like I guess it could be inspired by soccer. But yeah, like for those, I've won some of the smaller scale ones. I've won some that like I've led my team to winning like as a manager, but I have not qualified for like the bigger ones yet. They're like basically gotten bought for it because I'm not that recognized for various reasons, but I won't go too much into them.
Because he's trash, dude.
Well, it's more like I don't spend that much time sucking the dicks of some of the managers, is how I would put it. And I mean, like it is a little bit about like circle jerking and like knowing the right people in the end. Like you can be good enough,
But if you're better than other people, they'll have to pick you, right?
yes and no. Like basically, so I said I got second. So the biggest, so how Smogon works in general is like you play like different tiers, and the tiers are like based on Pokemon that are in it, etc. So like the play experience is completely
Yeah, I
different
know that.
based on So last year in LC Open, so LC Open is like Little Cup, which is one of the tiers. It's basically played with only like first stage Pokemon.
Right.
So I got second in the biggest tournament of the year last year in this tournament. I got second for the biggest tournament of the year in LCA. And then this year in LCPL, which is Little Cup Premier League, which is like a basically only Little Cup format tournament. Like I didn't even get a starting position. Like there's like 8 slots. I didn't get a starting position, even though I placed second in the biggest tournament of the year last year. So it was like very clearly just like people didn't want me to start, or like didn't think highly of me despite like my placings.
Damn.
They're trying to keep a
You
good
gotta prove
man
them
down.
wrong, right? You gotta put them wrong, right? Because then somebody
This is
could
the classic
pick you
shonen
for
anime
very
arc.
low. So somebody could pick you for very low costs and then just like bully all like the other teams, right? In a sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, team tournaments are kind of like that in general.
But so you're okay, I see.
Yeah.
So are you counted as a free agent? Like, can people sign you for free, considering?
No. Like I was drafted to a team, but it was like for not that much money. It was like, so the base salary or the base amount of money that you would pay for a player would be 3,000, and then like you could like generally good players will go for like 10,000 or more. I got bought for like 4.5 or like 5,000, which is basically just like a replacement player. I didn't even get to play until week 3. So like week 3 out of weeks, like 7 weeks. And like my team was already basically out of playoffs at that point. Like we were just like terrible. And I asked for a trade. Like nobody even wanted me after I asked for a trade. Like when my manager didn't start me, it was like a whole debacle or whatever. But like even though I had like, so basically in terms of individual performance, I was probably like.
But when you played, did you do well?
Yeah, well, I ended the
played?
season like I think 3-1 or something like that. But like most of my games didn't even end up mattering because like it was so late in the season. Like my week 5, 6, and 7 games, like we were already out of playoffs by then. So
That's like kind of stupid. Then why don't they pick you? I feel like that's just like because like I assume like your quote unquote your market value goes down, right? So people could like sign you for less.
well, I mean, so
Is that not how that works?
kind of. So like you generally will only get the chance to like get onto a team like at the beginning of the season, and then like the season is like about 7 weeks generally. It's like the normal format is you play every other team like once in a round robin, and there's 8 teams.
Yeah.
And then so I asked for a trade, and if other teams actually thought that I was good enough to get a spot, then they would have traded for me because like my value shouldn't have been high because like my managers just didn't think much of me or whatever. I don't really know, but like nobody actually wanted me, which is like I don't know. It just shows that like for me, I think like people like the value of me individually, what like they just thought that I wasn't a good player, even though like in terms of results from last year, I was like easily like top 10. Maybe
So
higher.
if you do well in this VGC, you will kind of get attention, right?
Yeah,
And you'll be like, well, maybe he's actually pretty good.
Well,
And you
yes,
should
but
probably
like
bring him onto the team.
it's different, right? Because like
Yeah.
like it depends because some skills are transferable, but like in general, like people won't don't like really think highly of me. Well, actually, there's a few reasons why people don't think highly of me, but one of them is that I choose to like use more like quote unquote like creative strategies a lot of the time and like non-traditional stuff.
You don't follow the meta, huh?
Yeah, and so people really see my wins as like not as legit because like I don't know, I didn't do the same like play the same way as other people. But like,
well, will a manager ask his players to play a certain way?
Sometimes it depends on the type of person.
Wouldn't you follow it?
I'll
The
try
manager?
to be like it depends on the manager, but like I'll try to like appease them as much as possible. But like, yeah, I won't like give up the way that I play the game, but like,
Spoken like a true anime protagonist.
yeah.
That's something like Yugi Moto would say.
Yeah, but like compared to like Smogon stuff, like Smogon, a lot of like the most prestigious stuff is more about team tours, the team tournaments. But like there are some individual tournaments that are like really prestigious that like you can really make your name for. One of them is like Smogon Grand Slam, which is basically like the 5 different Open Cups. So I placed second in one of the Open Cups, but like there's all 5 of them together. And then like the top 16 players qualify for like the Grand Slam. So I believe this is based off tennis or golf probably. I don't know which one exactly, but the top 16 get placed there, and then like they play each other, and then like that's probably like one of the most prestigious tournaments. And I just barely missed out on qualifying both of the last 2 years. So it was like I've missed a few of my chances to really get like get into like the spotlight, I guess.
That's cool. Wait, so this weekend, if you win every game, you only play 3 games, right?
Yeah. So if
So it's
I
like
win
the same
every
as last
game,
week.
I'll go 3-0. Or
And then in top
technically
16.
3 matches, right? So 3 different matches. If I so last weekend I think I went 2-0 with the first match, 2-1 in the second, and then 2-0 in the third.
Oh right, yeah.
So
I mean,
they're
yeah,
best of threes.
the matches
yeah,
you play.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, like this tournament is like kind of unique because this is like they're kind of experimenting with something where you actually get to see your entire opponent's team like as you're playing the game. So like generally you only will get to see what Pokemon they have, but like this time you can also see what moves they have and what item they're holding, so you have like a good idea of what they're doing, which can be
You can't
interesting.
change your change your lineup halfway through a tournament, right?
No, for VGC you're set.
Okay, so in a sense, you will like after a few rounds, you generally know what everyone has because you can scout their games, right?
Well, I can't really scout the games, but I can see like basically on the tournament, I can see like what my opponent has next week, or like the game I play tomorrow. I can see my opponent's team like right now. Like I can see what it is.
Okay.
And so I don't know, like the matchup seems like a little bit tough, but I think I can outplay if I play well, but it's
Damn.
not impossible.
I'm hyped to see Michael at Worlds. So good luck.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good luck. So what about you, Skyler? Kendo?
So
Or
mine
anything
is
else?
not
Yeah.
nearly as involved, I don't think. So, I mean, I haven't been doing Kendo that long. I've only been doing Kendo for 2 years. And I've gone to two tournaments at this point. And so I competed in two events. One was like what they call Mudan Shoku division, which is basically people without a Dan rank, Kendoka. And for both tournaments, I won my first. It's a single round elimination, so it's basically like and so I don't know if you like. So Kendo scored with 2 points per match, right? So it's also best of three, but it's one go. And for both tournaments, I won my first match and then immediately lost the second one. I think for my second tournament, I was able to score 1 point before losing, and then my first tournament, I just lost outright. And then I also competed and then for the second tournament, I competed with my university. Like we have a team, and it's like 5v5, and it's basically like we take turns doing like one-on-ones, and the team at the end of the 5 rounds, like whoever has the most points wins. And that was hype as shit, dude. Like, I mean, no, I'm not much of an athlete, so I don't have a lot of experience with the whole like rooting for your teammates and blah blah kind of thing, right? Like the whole kind of sports thing that you usually get in high school and stuff. So this was like a really new experience for me, and just like cheering people on and shouting at them and like that overall vibe and that energy of competing with a team basically. And that's not really something I've ever really done before, even in like I don't really compete academically that much either. I don't like enter special exams or like science competitions or blah, blah, blah. So I in general, I'm not a super big fan of those types of things. But this time I kind of felt like, I sort of understood, like, oh, okay, this is why people like this type of thing. And it was really happy. I remember the last tournament. So basically like it came down to basically the one, right? It was, the classic thing was like the last pair of players to play, and it came down to the last point, and then they were in overtime, and everybody's fucking tired as hell and everything, and we're on the side that's screaming our hearts out, trying to help our friend win and all that, and it was really hype because so we originally lost, but then so in Kendo there's a concept called zanshin, which is basically like continued alertness. So after you score correctly, you still have to demonstrate like continued alertness. And so like I think the most famous example is like if you scored a hit and then like the points awarded to you, right, by the judges, and then if you like make a fist or like in any way like disgrace the point, quote unquote, like then it can be removed. So we actually originally lost, and then the other kid like did like a fist pump, and the judges removed this point. So we were fucking back in the game.
That's so
and that was
the hypest. What? That's so pretentious. Like it's
dude, that was the hypest shit ever, dude. We thought we were done, and then we fucking came back, and then we ended up winning. And oh my god, it was,
that kid!
Like,
that kid literally threw.
He learned
literally through.
He hard through, dude. Because both. So the guy from our team and the guy from the other team they were both fucking exhausted, right? So the typical kind of match is about 3 minutes or so. They were in like the 7 or 8 minute range already, and so like they were both tired. Like I get tired. I get tired in the around 2 minutes already. So like they were really going at it, and like you could tell like their strikes were just losing accuracy, losing power, losing strength, everything. It was just like, oh my god. You know that one fight scene with like the last fight scene between Naruto and Sasuke, where at the end they're just like exhausted and like punching each other right after they used up all their abilities. It felt like that, dude. I was watching, I was like, oh my god, go, like kind of thing. So just one good hit, pull it out of you, and you like and eventually, our guys scored and we moved on. And dude, and then we had the worst luck, dude. We faced like a fucking stacked team of like 5th or 6th Dan senseis, and then we were like, oh my god, we're so gonna get wiped, and we did. And so like actually, but what was like miraculous was our first player actually won against one of the senseis. I don't know if it was like he's feeling off, he let us have it or whatever, but like he actually scored 2 points on on our opponents, and we were like, holy shit, what the hell? And then I scored 1 point, and then I got eliminated, and that match was really fun because like I was outmatched, but like my base stats kind of worked towards my favor. Like I talked in the last episode, basically how like I'm really hard to move, right? Like and like how if you strike, you have to move through your opponent. Like he couldn't get through me, and so like I'm just like a fucking tank, right? Like just trying to just holding my ground and everything. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen me like properly pissed off where I'm like shouting and everything, but like I have a pretty decent like what's called like a kiai, which is like a shout and a kind of like battle cry almost, and that like threw him off, dude. Like I could see like the doubt in his eyes when I started screaming at him. He's like, holy shit, what the hell? And I was able to score 1 point off him, and yeah, it was, oh my god, it was a lot of fun. I'm really, I miss Kendo. I really hope that it comes back soon. I don't know how the university's going to handle like our trainings in the fall and all that, but oh my god, that was so hyped, dude. It was it was so fun, dude.
Right.
It was just like it was in those moments I understood like the sports, right? This kind of nebulous concept that I've always looked down on for other people and be like, oh, you know, like why would you bother with these types of things? Like in over those 2 days, like I understood like why people could care so much about these things. But I maintain that Kendo is way more hyped than like basketball or whatever. But
well, I mean,
that's such a okay. I mean, to you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean to you, but like everyone has their
But it's
own
such a
thing, right?
yeah. It's such a
dude, we're fighting with swords, dude.
No, you're not. You're fighting
what is
with wooden
basketball?
sticks.
Literally,
You're not fighting with swords.
literally. Metaphorically,
yeah, but
right?
you're not fighting with swords.
But like basketball is literally just moving the ball from point A to point B. I don't know. I could never really get.
I mean, you're moving a wooden stick from point A to point B.
I'm cutting a motherfucker.
No, you're
down,
not.
dude.
What the fuck are you talking about? You're moving a wooden stick from point A to point B.
Okay, so actually,
Let's be honest here.
It's actually bamboo.
Okay, you're moving a bamboo stick from point A to point B.
it's wood. I mean, basically, right? Like we can just say it's wood if we're simplifying it that much.
I mean, bamboo is like even worse than wood because it's like flimsy wood.
Yeah, well, it's meant to flex. It's not supposed to like be the solid plank that you smash into the guy's
No, I'm
face.
just saying
right?
it's like it's even worse than wood. It's like you can.
Okay.
It's like.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Semantics aside, it doesn't really matter. But like, if you think it's more hype, then like, I mean, that's what you like, right? But
Yeah.
Yeah, and I fully recognize that that's my subjective opinion. I just want to piss off people.
That's fine.
All right. So actually, something I wanted to ask you is like, how was your experience at like your first tournament, or like even like whenever you go to tournaments? Because like, for me, every time I go to in person, like okay, so like my first tournament, like online, I was like super nervous for. And like my first like I remember the experience, like I was like sweating, you know. I still have that thing when like for big games, for like even though I've played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games sorry even though I've played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games and like important games and tournament games or whatever, every time I get to an important tournament game, like where if it's like my team is on the playoff like my team's like playoff lives are on the line, or like if this is like a huge individual tournament and I'm like in the quarterfinals or whatever, and like whenever I get to those big moments, my heart just starts pounding like super fast, and like I just get like really nervous, even though like even if it's online. And then like when I go to like in-person events, like the first time I went to the VGC events, like even the most recent time I went to like a regional, like the regionals are basically like state level events. So like I went to like I go to SoCal and Dallas regionals in the last 2 years, and so like even last time I went, which was like in January, I went to the Dallas regionals. Even just round one and round
I do.
Like, every single round, my heart was just beating so fast as soon as like the time.
It's a little different, right?
I don't know. If
I think
kind of
Pokemon is like strategy.
I think everyone
right?
does, right? Because it's like
right, like Kendo is like real time, and so like in the moment you think you're going as fast as you can, blah blah blah. But like I'll watch my match back and I'm actually like slow as shit, right? Or like my moves are super telegraphed, and I think, and so like that's always kind of disheartening. But like, yeah, you know, and like the shouting actually helps, like because you kind of get that out of you, right? Like, so how it usually works is like, you both kind of like squat in front of each other with your swords out, and then, oh my god, that sounded wrong. But intro clip. Anyway, and then the judge will say start, and you like both stand up, and usually there's like an introductory shout, and then that's like, you know, the metaphysical things, like, you know, your spirits are kind of clashing, and then you have to shout when you're attacking. And so typically people will attack like right off the bat, and so like, and that's also the style that I tend like to do, and also what my sensei told me to do is basically just keep going forward. Like, we have a meme in our club is like W only, right? Like, you hold W, no retreat, always forward. W, dude, you just hold down W and just tape down your M1 key. Just always be attacking, and it helps with the nerves. Like,
SM work.
A lot of it's like kind of psychological, because like I don't know if I didn't have certain information about my opponents beforehand, then maybe I would have performed differently. Because I mean, actually, well, maybe, but then it's also immediately apparent if you're facing someone more experienced, right? Like, just the way they move and like the kind of calm and like assuredness they have in themselves. Like, all the matches I win are usually against opponents who like, I can see like doubt themselves, right? And you can't really fake that confidence as much as you would like, right? Like, it really is earned, right? Like I know I'm this fast. I know I can perform the strike accurately. I know like my spirit can overwhelm his kind of thing. So in regards to your question about nerves, I definitely get that. I think being a physical activity though, it's a little bit more different, right? Because when you're doing a strategy game, like you can pause and think and like analyze a lot of stuff. Whereas like, you know, on the other side, like if the other guy's raising his sword, like he's ready to strike, I'm like, okay, well, I have to respond to that, right? Like, you have a split second to decide. And that's why even though the matches are like 3 minutes, they can feel so long. And, you know, like on the outside, you may be like, nah, what the fuck? You can't last 3 minutes? Like you must have horrible stamina. But like, even being in that kind of heightened alertness kind of state just like drains your stamina so much. And like, you know, your breathing comes back, and your form starts to drop and everything. And like, you know, you're wearing pretty bulky like equipment on you, and it's just like, I don't know. It's like, it's definitely different.
No, I mean, I don't fault you at all, because like for me, like, you know, one of these tournaments, like it's like a Pokemon tournament normally take so what Pokemon does is like for the regionals, it's like Swiss. I don't know if you guys are familiar with how Swiss works.
No idea.
So Swiss is basically a tournament format where it's used for larger events, and it's very expandable, and it's very good for the Pokemon kind of tournament, or in general, card games actually use this a lot as well. But it's basically the idea of so you play against like a certain number of rounds. So let's say it's like around 8 rounds is like an average, 8 to 9 rounds, maybe 10, and it basically goes until you get matched every round. You get matched against people with the same record as you so far. So like in round 6, if you're 5-1, then you get matched against someone else who is 5-1. And basically the idea is that you continue to go until there's only one player left that could potentially be undefeated. So that is like how the number of rounds is determined. So in these rounds, like, okay, so for example, my first tournament was Anaheim 2018. So this event was 2018. So this event was a 9-round it was an 8-round Swiss tournament. So basically you play 8 rounds, and then the top 8 people cut towards a like a top cut. So top cut, like at the end of the Swiss rounds, generally you'll get like a top X number. So in general, it's like top 8. And then the top 8 go to a bracket stage where you play against each other. So just playing those 8 rounds of Swiss. So each round takes maybe like 20 minutes okay, it's about an hour, but like your games will generally take like 20 minutes to like 40 minutes around. But okay, so you would think like maybe just playing Pokemon, you know, sitting there and like not really like doing any physical activity, you're just pressing buttons, right? Like it's not tiring, or like you would think it's not tiring, but like after playing like 8 rounds of Swiss, after playing like 10 rounds of Swiss, whatever, it's just like you're just so mentally exhausted. It like kind of like drains your physical like like when I just like stand up and walk around, it just feels like I'm like so tired and so mentally drained after one of those tournaments. Yeah, because
because your brain's probably been going at like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. You're like very
trying to like
focused
5D
and,
chess
like,
the other
thinking
guy
really hard for like a whole day.
Yeah, so like
it's like similar to like chess, right? Where like I'm not sure the exact figure is, but there was like someone did a study that like the average chess player burns like an X amount of calories per tournament, and then it's like insanely high.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's like I would say it's like very similar to chess. Like outside of the fact that like the game itself is a little bit more RNG and stuff, but like in terms of like how you have to think about it and stuff, it is like a strategy game, right? So it's like similar to chess, but it's like so mentally draining. Like I totally agree, or like I totally sympathize with Skyler's like, yeah, you can think it's easy like when you're like not participating, but like when you actually like,
I think everyone experiences that because I think it's not just a tournament thing.
Well, it's
like,
not. It's not.
If you were like a big public speaker, I think it's similar because I think it's just putting a person in a very high stakes situation is it's gonna yield the same effect.
Yeah, I mean, even like
whether it's
even just like exams and stuff, like like a 3-hour exam or whatever. Like after you finish a 3-hour exam, like you're just like so tired afterwards. It's not like you could say, oh, you're just sitting at a desk and writing down stuff for like 3 hours or whatever, but like it's not just that, right?
Yeah. Yep. Damn.
That's why they should abolish all exams. Students must reclaim the means of grade distribution.
How would you feel if they abolish exams and then a student that you think is worse than you got ranked higher in the class? I'm curious.
If they like switched out exams for like projects, which are still like graded, and so you still have like a number kind of thing. But if they like removed all measurement metrics, then I'd be like, yeah, no,
so
you can't do that.
You
obviously,
think
right?
projects are better than exams?
I personally prefer them. I mean, like it depends on the subject material being assessed, right? Like if it's something more suited to like an exam format, then yeah. But I mean, like you know me, right? Like I'm better with my hands. I'm more creative. So like if an opportunity comes for me to leverage my creativity,
I don't think
definitely
exams are necessarily a bad thing. I just think like it's not always like I think the way that they are currently weighed in classes are a little bit too much. Like they often put too much emphasis on exams and like oftentimes ignore some of the skills like Skyler's talking about like the hands-on experiences and sometimes like the more practical things can be a better measurement. But ultimately, it's probably like it's not one or the other. It's probably just like a mix of both. But change is slow.
Well, before we end, do you guys want to talk about the new shows that you guys have been watching? Because I know Michael, you recently finished all of Rick and Morty, and then Skyler watched a few episodes.
Yeah, I have. So.
Oh wait, really? All of it?
Yeah.
What do you think? Since you watched it very recently and in quick succession, I'm curious, like, what you think the best season was.
I would say
because for most other people, we watched it as it came out, so there was a long break between the seasons.
Okay. So I actually wouldn't say there's like a best season, but like the episodes I liked the most were the ones that like managed to like string together some of the ongoing storylines. So like. A lot. I would say like my biggest criticism of Rick and Morty is that like a lot of the episodes felt like very meaningless because like to me like it dangles a lot of like like there is like basically an overarching story, but it only touches on it like once every 5 episodes. So. And so like it kind of like dangles the possibility of like something greater, but like it doesn't actually touch on it, which is not to say like the episodes that are like quote unquote filler are bad. Like they're still pretty good. Yeah, they're still pretty good, but like I don't enjoy them as much as the ones that are like about the story.
Okay.
Wait, was your favorite episode the one where they with the Citadel of Ricks?
Yeah,
and then,
that one was
like,
good.
It was the evil Morty reveal. That was probably my favorite episode.
Which was
it was the Beth one.
Yeah, both of those were probably my two favorites so far. Or yeah, I guess so far. Yeah, the season 4 finale and the season 3 finale.
The season 4 finale?
I mean, there was a like I. Okay, go ahead.
I think that's the general reaction for a lot of fans about the show. Is like the episodic stuff is kind of hit or miss sometimes, but then like the overarching story is almost always
I actually
like
think
really interesting.
For the most recent season, because honestly I don't remember that much about the previous seasons, but I think for season 4 a lot of the episodic ones are really good.
I think they were pretty good.
Nah, dude, the fucking dragon episode. I saw that and I was like, what is this?
Wait, was the dragon one the same one with the cat, or was that a different one? I can't remember now.
Was.
Okay, it's the same one. Okay.
Yeah.
That one was like fun to watch for a part, and then it got weird at the end.
Yeah, it got really weird at the end.
Remember the episode. I think the episode where they went to another planet or something. And then they became like the it's like the 30 yeah.
The parasites.
Wait, no, it's like the the parasites one.
Yeah.
That one was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Actually, let me just search up season.
That was
4
alright, yeah.
episodes. I can't remember which one.
I think it was 7 or something, or 6. But
no, I'm just saying like yeah.
Okay. So okay, how I would say is before I go into this, I'll talk a little bit about my rating scale for shows in general. My rating scale is a little bit different from most people. So I would say that how I rate it is like a 7 out of 10 is my baseline. It's like basically an average show, and it's like something that I would watch.
7 is an average. Okay.
Yeah, because I basically go on a. It's kind of similar to like a school rating system, but like 7 out of 10 is like basically what I would say as like an average show. It's something that I would watch on a seasonal basis, but I wouldn't like binge watch basically, and I wouldn't actively recommend it to anyone else. Like 6 out of 10 is like generally very bad, and I wouldn't watch it unless like I had prior investment in like the franchise beforehand. And in general, I don't have many 6 out of 10s because of that reason, because I'll drop shows before I reach the conclusion of that point. And then like 5 out of 10 is like very bad, and like anything below 5 out of 10 is like terrible, right? So going above that, 8 out of 10 is something that I would like consider very like good, and I would also like actively recommend to other people if they were interested in the genre. 9 out of 10 is a show that is like on the level of like anime of the season, or like show of the season / show of the year. Like basically better than anything else that comes out around it. But like I'm saying like on the level of, because I'm not really saying like there can only be one of those shows per season or whatever, but I'm just saying like on that level. And then 10 out of 10 is like basically my all-time favorites. So like there's only like 10 or 15 shows that would reach 10 out of 10 out of like the 400 or whatever I watched. So
and how do you differentiate between the 10 or 15 shows that are 10 out of 10?
I mean, like, I know personally, but I'm just saying, like, when I rate shows, this is, like, how I would rate it. So, like, my favorite show...
it out of... Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so favorite show, like I would rate, like, Log Horizon as a 10 out of 10, but I also would rate, like, Code Geass as 10 out of 10. But I know that Log Horizon, like, is my favorite out of the 10 out of 10s, right? Like, just, like, in the 9 out of 10s, like, there's shows that I would like more than others. But, okay, so with that said... I would rate Rick and Morty probably an 8 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10. So like it's like close.
All right.
Like either a high 8 or a low 9, basically.
I see.
I mean, I definitely think Rick and Morty's probably better than Log Horizon.
Well, I mean, personal.
Just based off your scale, but like. Which is why I don't.
How would you rate?
I understand the utility of a numerical rating system, but it's just like that's kind of why I don't like them.
I think
it's like Sakuroso versus Gundam, right? Like it's just like they're so different that I feel like both giving them a number isn't really.
No, I think it's just like which one do you prefer more is the point of the scale, right? It's just like your personal preference. You're not trying to objectively look at it.
Yeah, but then like it's basically 5 integers, right? Like because you don't go below a 5, and it's like 5.
Well, that's his though. But you can have your own.
Kind of a narrow range.
But you can have your own.
Well, I just use that as like a general idea scale, right? Well, okay, I use it because of Mal really, but like I just use it to get like a general or like give other people a general idea of how I think about a show. So like it's about like enjoyment level, and the reason I don't go below 5 or whatever is because like in general, like the idea is that I would never finish a show that I would, or okay, it's not I never, because there are shows that I have rated very low, but like nowadays I wouldn't ever like unironically watch a show that like I would rate a 3, right? So
isn't that kind of a bad way?
Infinite Stratos season 2.
Isn't that kind of a bad way of like rating shows? Like you're wasting like 4 numbers. Like if you're just like
that's also what I think.
Average of 5 or like, right? I don't know. It's just like
okay. Yeah. The way I
like if I were to rate. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean part of the reason is also because like I rate it like similar to how or Mal generally rates shows, like my anime list. For if you're not like familiar, basically like if I rate a show on Mal, if I would be raising the score or lowering the score, so like basically the average show on Mal is like about a 7, so that's like kind of how I base it around.
So, I see. Like so usually I usually don't rate shows, but I guess I rate the music that I listen to, and I usually rate them. They're usually out of 5, but if it was a 10, but it's like out of 5s with 0.5s.
Okay, yeah.
So there's like 3, so it's basically a 10.
Yeah.
So I would usually put average at like 5, and then like 6 would be like average, a little bit better than average. 7 would be a good.
Well, music is a little different
like a good
for me because
great.
Like for music, like it's not like a huge commitment, right? To watch, like,
right? Yeah, I guess
or to listen to like a song, right? But like for a show, like
usually you don't rate songs. Usually you rate like an album.
Yeah, but even like an album, like how long is that, right?
Yeah.
So like if I'm watching a whole show that's like minimum 12 episodes, like I would have to make a commitment, like actively make a commitment to be watching the entire thing.
But like but I guess what I'm saying is that if I were to grade Rick and Morty, like my personal opinion, I would probably give it like probably a 6 to a 7.
So you're saying it's like slightly above average?
I would say it's like between, it's like average to good, but it's like more to the good side.
Okay.
Of average to good. Yeah.
See, the thing about Rick and Morty, though, is I think that the highs are so high that, like, the average stuff seems kind of shit by comparison, right? Like, even though we make fun of the Dragon episode, like, I still feel like on its own, it's like not as, or like, you know, the Pickle Rick episode, right? Like, on its own, it's not that it's not that bad. It's just that when it's put next to something like really good, it just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean that's why I rate it.
You know what I mean?
That's the same reason why I rate it like high 8/9, because like I talked about this on an earlier episode, but basically my ideas are about what are good in a show. Like I'm more prone to like looking at the good parts of a show and like being willing to overlook like some things that are like subpar / bad, because like overall I recognize that like I've watched so much stuff that there's nothing like there's very few shows that I would ever consider to be perfect, or like that I would like not like there are points that I don't complain about. So like out of my 10 out of 10 shows, like there is only one show, which is Shinsekai Yori, that I would like not complain about. But like every other show on the top of my list, I have some sort of complaints about. Like there are parts that I don't like, and there's like wasted potential there. But like I recognize that it's not possible for there ever to be like the perfect show. So like I'm willing to overlook some bad things, and I look for more of the good stuff. And like Rick and Morty, there was like enough good stuff for me to say it's like an 8 or a 9 show.
Yeah, I mean it was a really good show. Yeah,
but like to me that's like I don't know, you know, because like certain episodes are like to me like just smash it 10 out of 10.
It's like you're rating the whole thing, right? So you're just rating all of Rick and Morty.
I know, so like, but it just feels like kind of wrong. You know what I mean?
Why? It's like you're counting the highs and you're counting the lows together. Like
basically, how I view a rating scale is more like how much would I recommend this to other people, or if their like tastes lined up similar to mine, and then like I can like kind of procure a little bit. Like it's not exactly accurate. So like if you like some stuff more, then I'll recommend some stuff that is like more similar to that. But like basically, it's like how I would like go down the list of like recommending stuff. So like basically my 10 out of 10s are the first stuff that I would recommend to anybody, as long as they're like, you know, within like the necessary requirements.
Yeah.
So like when I'm recommending shows, I don't only look at like the good parts of it, but I also look at like the overall viewing experience, right? So like a 10 out of like Code Geass is a 10 out of 10 because there aren't that many bad experiences, and the good experiences are so good. But like
I wonder if we would still say it's 10 out of 10 if we watched it now.
No, I mean I rewatched it like
recently. Oh, did you?
Remember like when the movies came out?
Oh, you watched the whole goddamn thing?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing, and you know it's still a 10 out of 10. Like for sure, that one still holds up. But you know, what's like a mediocre show that's come out recently? I don't know.
Rent a Girlfriend.
Sure, yeah, like Rent a Girlfriend. Like I wouldn't be so high on the show. Like there are clearly some really bad parts about it, and there's some like mediocre or even good parts about it. But like I wouldn't be like, oh, this is like so good, right? And I would recommend it to everyone. And I mean I don't. So it's like a 7 out of 10 probably for me. The manga is like a 7 out of 10 for me.
Wait, you would give it a 7 out of 10, dude? Oh my god.
Yeah, but that's exactly
average on his scale.
So it's basically
right.
like 7 out of 10 is basically it's average. I would read it / watch it seasonally, but I wouldn't like actively recommend it to other people.
What about like guilty pleasure shows for you guys? Like, are there any shows where you're like, this is bad, but I like it, you know?
Rent a Girlfriend.
No, I haven't seen.
Dude, for me, that's where Ari Furita, which is like really bad light novel. Oh my god, it was so bad. But
so bad.
I liked it, dude. I watched the whole thing. I watched it all in like basically one sitting. I was like, this is the shit, dude. I'm that edgy teenager. And then the music was like good, dude. I don't know. It was weird. The music was like actually good.
No,
dude, like out of nowhere, they'd have like this sick jazz theme with the sax, and I'm like, oh my god, this is good. What is this?
It was produced by a good studio, right? So like a lot of the or like that.
But then it has like super shitty CG, dude. Like the CG in that show. Oh my god, it was basically so bad.
Like. Well, okay. So
I would still 100% watch sequel.
Like SAO,
Wait, is this...
I don't rate as a good show. Like I think I rate SAO as around a 6 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10.
I would rate. Okay, yeah. Sorry, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's basically a bad show, right? Like I wouldn't recommend it. It's actively bad. But
you take that back.
There's a lot of parts of SAO that are like really good. Like, which is to say, mostly about like the production value and sound quality, or sound like general. Like sound stuff, like the openings of SAO and like
as Yuki Kajira's score,
it's
and like
so
the art is always
good.
pretty solid. Yeah,
the art is like S tier, basically A+ tier at the very worst, right? It's like everything about it is very pleasing. The production value is fantastic, but I wouldn't like
voice acting is usually pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. But like the content isn't good, so like even though there's so much around it that's good, like it's just like. The show itself is like mediocre.
Okay, wait. While we're on the topic of SAO, so the second half of the third season started airing recently. In the first episode, they put a goddamn tentacle scene in there. I complained about them off the air, and I'm like, God damn it! Like, why? And then it was so uncomfortable, dude. I was like so worried someone was gonna walk in or something, and I'd have to like explain or whatever. And I immediately like pull out my headphones. I'm like, all right, nobody can know about this. And I'm trying to like speed through it. And it was just the shittiest, like, oh my God. Like, that's the type of stuff that people point to when they're like, SAO was trash. And like, oh man, like, I don't think even the most hardcore SAO defender could look at that and be like, yeah, that's all right. Like, nah, dude, like, oh my God, it was so bad, dude. Like, you would think they would learn their goddamn lesson, right? Like, after the controversy from last season, they're like, you know what? Dude, actually, so apparently I heard that even the author didn't want that scene included anymore. He told the anime protection team, like this. It's like, okay, I regret this. Like, take it out. And they're like, nah, dude, not fair.
Wait, who got attacked by tentacles?
The Yuko, right?
No, actually, it's the Suguha, the Lifa, the green girl.
Oh my God. Yeah, and little sister.
Is that the main girl in the elf one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
Incest.
And it was super. And then there was this one part where like the tentacle like goes right, like for what's between her legs.
You don't
and it,
need to
cuts
describe
away.
it, okay?
And I'm like, oh my god,
down,
like
buddy.
what is this? I'm like, it's like I'm like looking around for like basically a reason to live. I'm just like, oh my god, what is this?
The reason
Wait,
to
wait.
live would be to close that tab.
Alright.
It's just like, and the rest of the episode was like inoffensive. It was like fine, and like there was even like a relatively sweet scene where Sinan's like she gives Kirito a kiss on the cheek and is like, like I'm here for you, baby, kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. I like Sinan. And then they hit me with this, and I'm like, what is this? Why? Like just me questioning the meaning of life.
So
Anyway, I think I got the point across.
What do you think about the two? Okay, so the two big anime that are airing are for sure Origaidu season 3 and ReZero season 3 or season 2 rather, and they're big titles. You've watched both, right? Like
I haven't seen the
first two
latest Origaidu episode, just like episode 2. But I have seen the 2 that are out for ReZero. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of both of their shows? Okay, I'll start with ReZero. I think ReZero is really, really good, and like the new season shaping up to be like really fucking good to me.
Okay, it seems like business as usual to me because I feel like they're building up to something. But I mean, like the last episode, or the second episode, right? Like that ends with the witch, right? He's like, oh, basically hide, and you don't know anything about the sanctuary and all that. I don't like it when like things in a story are kept vague for almost the audience's sake. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, they're doing it this way to keep the audience in the dark, even though it doesn't make sense for them for other characters in the story to keep other characters in the dark, right? Like, why doesn't Frederica tell them more about the sanctuary? Like, what? Like, why is she just like, oh, look, beware Garfield? It's like, okay, what's Garfield? Who's Garfield? Like, what is this? Right? Like, right? Like, when something like that happens, it just feels like, okay, they're purposely doing this to get the audience to ask questions, and that to me is kind of lazy, right? Like,
okay, I see what
especially
you mean,
especially when it seems like Frederica has the information at hand, right? Like, it's like, okay, but I'm just not going to tell you. Like, why, right? Other than that, I think it's like, I like Rem, right? So I'm not thrilled that Rem is out of the story, basically.
Yeah.
And apparently she's going to be out of the story for a while, right? I mean, like, it's coming off because ReZero kind of built up, right? Like, if I probably go, actually, now that I remember, I think the first few episodes of ReZero were pretty strong, but like there was a kind of period in the middle where it's like build up and like not a lot of hype, right? And then it culminates in, I think, was it episode 18?
Yeah. When
Rem gives the speech and everything, and then it just kind of goes like hype from there, right? So. Yeah, so like season 2 is, I mean, like, and it's coming off like how many years of hype? Like 4 years of hype now, right? So it's just like,
I'm it's not gonna for it. Like
it's not gonna immediately live up to that.
I think it's personally, I think it lived up to everything that I was expecting from it so far. Not to say that it can't fall flat yet, but this is basically everything that I could have wanted from season 2 so far.
Really? Okay, I'm a little underwhelmed. I think actually, well, it might have also been because it's been so long and you watched the series. I think a 2-minute recap at the beginning of season 2 would have been like they could have squeezed that in, right? Like, come on. You're really going to make your fans go back and rewatch the whole series or watch this other whole director's cut thing? Like, I feel like that's a little unreasonable. I watched it. Same with Origaidu.
Origaidu, it was definitely a bit tough for me to remember exactly what happened at the beginning of season 3 or at the end of season 2. But it was like the 2 episodes I've come out are both pretty solid. Like they're
and like
kind of business as usual.
Origaidu is also really meta, right? Like Origaidu is like really meta, and the characters are really self-aware. So like when they say certain things, like I'm not sure. I mean, this could just be like me and not enough brain cells, but like sometimes it's like, okay, like are you just kind of reaching too hard here, like trying to be a bit too deep, kind of thing. Like I don't remember a lot of the plot points that were kind of set up. The only thing I vaguely remember from the end of season 2 was like I think the 2 girls were like about to confess or something, and then like. And then it just kind of like ended. And then now they're starting the story off, and like you can use like talk to her sister or something, and I forget like the specifics of the drama there and why it was relevant and why.
Well, I'll explain. I don't know.
It's such a bitch.
So basically, like at the end of season 2, like Yukino is like basically says to both Yui and Hachiman that like she wants to like make a request to them, and like it basically involves she wants to confront her family about like the future. And that's like basically a simple summary of like what are the major events going on. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit tough for me to understand like some of the stuff, but it was still like solid. Like it wasn't anything I wasn't expecting.
The other thing about Origairu is I feel like it leans a lot into Japanese culture, right? Like where they don't explicitly come out and say things directly.
Yeah.
Right? Like where confession's a bigger deal and like relationships are held in a higher regard, that kind of thing. So like, or not held in a higher regard, but like less casually, right? Like, you know, in the States, people date relatively casually, kind of. Whereas in Asia, it seems like that's all a bit closer to the chest. And so with that kind of unspoken type of subtext, sometimes we're like, for someone like me, where the answer might just be like, okay, well, why don't you just go fucking talk to them, right? Like, but like the story will like dodge and weave around that, or like somehow they can't, or they say the wrong thing, type of thing, and like that to me is kind of just
the characters, but both Yui and Yukino are like, well, okay, Yukino it's because she's like more arrogant and she's like too, I don't know how do you say it, like too haughty to admit it, but like Yui is like kind of also a little bit more shy, and she like more shy than her persona leads on. It is like supposed to be her character, or actually it is her character, not like supposed to be, but
yeah. I mean, well, actually, I guess, you know, to talk about something a little less serious, who do you think's best girl?
Personally, I like Yukino more, but it's very slight. I'm not like on one side or other. Like I could see both sides and I'd be happy either way, but I like Yukino slightly more. What about you?
Okay. I don't know. I like a lot of the girls, but it's just like if I'm thinking of it in terms of fit for Hachiman or fit for like me. If it's for me, probably would be like Yuigahama or Iroha. Mm-hmm. For Hachiman, I think probably Yuigahama as well, just because their personalities kind of are opposites almost, right? Like I feel like if you ended up with Yukino, they just both kind of be depressed all the time, right? Like
definitely.
Right, they just be quiet and be like jabbing at each other, and like that can kind of work. I think like the relationship between Senjo Gahara and Araragi in Monogatari is like really interesting. It's kind of like that, right? Where it's like they're both, even though Araragi is like a fucking weirdo, but like he's like introverted. So and Senjo Gahara is also introverted. And I think like at the end of the day that's why that relationship works. But for Yukino and Hachiman, I don't think that would ever. I feel like they'd get bored of each other. You know what I mean? They'd be like they never talk to each other. You know, they just like exist. And I feel like they fit better as friends almost anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I see it both. Actually, the thing though is that the internet is like very much on Yui's side. Like I actually like most of the people I talk to about anime support Yui. I'm like the only one who likes Yukino better. Even if it's like slight. Yeah. Almost everyone thinks Yui is much better.
Okay.
Which is interesting. But
speaking of sorry.
Go ahead.
No, sorry, just go ahead. I was gonna
I mean, if you're gonna end the episode, I was saying just like I think we're about done.
I was gonna say, speaking of best girls, our time is up.
Okay.
Seamless
transition.
Well, thanks for being here, guys. It was really fun.
Oh, okay.
All right. Peace out, viewers.
Peace out.